All right, everybody, we are live, back in action, attacking your speeches from the fields and the bleachers. This is the Power 32 podcast in the house, ready to rock and roll for another hour of power with my main man, Mr. Primetime 313, David Dale. How we doing today, baby?
What up, though? How you doing? How's the weather down there, man?
You know the weather. Hey, the weather is Florida cool. It's been cool in the morning, like 40s, 50s, but then it gets back up to the 60s and 70s during the day, so we're all good, man. I mean, we're just laughing at your ass every time you ask me how the weather is, because I know that it's dismal for you and it's great for us.
It is. I woke up this morning, my wife and I, and got to walk out the door, and it was 2 degrees. When I was watching the news, I had to squint to see if there was like a 1 in front of the 2, but there wasn't. No. It was 2 degrees. Next Tuesday, the high is going to be 2 degrees. So we're getting into the next 5 weeks or so here up in the mitten is going to be just utterly ridiculously, like you said, dismal. That's the perfect word for it.
You got no one to blame but yourself. You decided that you wanted to live there. There are other choices. There are other options around the country that you can move to, but you decided this is the one that you want. All right. You're going to have to live with your choices, man.
That's funny. Yeah, it's, you know what, though, man, but like I say, down there, and it, like my brother-in-law just was down in Miami, and he got, shout out to Robert, he got a couple of awards for, he does like this mentor type thing for like building your internet followers and stuff like that. And he's like up at like over 100,000 followers. So they brought him down. He was down there kind of jet setting in Miami a little bit.
That's cool.
But he said it was actually cool. It wasn't the normal, when you think of Miami, you think of 85.
Right. No, it wasn't like that. No, it hasn't been like that. It's not going to get like that for a little while. It's just going to be nice weather. People chilling. The true Floridians are out here in their coats, freezing their butts off at 60 degrees.
Yeah, 60 degrees. You guys down there wearing Carhartts and boots, and up here, we're
See, I don't know how these Floridians would have done with some of the weather that we saw over the weekend, like in New England. That was some bad weather. Chicago, that was some bad weather. I mean, Seattle is picnic, obviously. So we saw a lot of bad weather games and teams trying to persevere through that. So we got a lot to talk about, my friend. We got a lot to go through. We are ready for the conference championships. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened last week, but really we're looking forward to the conference championships, the Final Four. We got New England versus Denver, and gosh, I'll get into it in the second, Bo Nix, my God. And then we got Seattle and the Rams, an NFC West matchup. But you know what? Might as well just start there with Bo Nix right off the bat. What an absolute heartbreaker. It's the number 1 overall seed, and he gets hurt very, very late in the game. Breaks his ankle, everything, or whatever it was, his ankle, I think, part of his like just an absolute disaster. I don't want to count Denver out, but obviously without Bo Nix, they don't have really much of a chance, in my opinion. Dude, they're a throwing team. They're not a running team. I would say if Jarrett Stidham had this great running game to fall back on, okay, maybe they got a shot, but I mean, he's going to have to throw the ball, and he's no schluck. He's all right. He's played ball before. He started games. He's an all right quarterback, but this is the AFC Championship game, and you're going against the Patriots, who are one of the best, well-coached teams out there, an MVP candidate, an excellent defense, and they just seem to get the job done. This is going to be a tall task, man, and I just feel terrible for Bo Nix and the Denver Bronco fans.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are saying, at the press conference, he seemed like he was fine or whatever, but I think I'm trying to remember even what play that it happened on. But it's like you said, the fact that you get this far, this is what you dream of. You guys have been basically the best team in the league for the entire season, and then for it to come this, what
a mess, man.
It's just absolutely unfortunate. And Sean Payton, he's a really good coach, so we know he's going to have Jarrett Stidham prepared. But again, he's not Bo Nix. You got a week to implement a game plan around him, and this is going to probably end up having to be the RJ Harvey show. They're going to have to run the ball 35 times.
But that's not what they're made of. That's
no, they're not.
They can't.
They're not
do
built
that.
for that.
RJ Harvey's more of like your Alvin Kamara kind of back where, you want to throw him the ball and hand him the ball maybe 15 to 16, 17 times a game. I don't know, man. This is going to be a really tall task. Their running game took a big hit ever since J.K. Dobbins went out. But again, we'll get more into that. But of course, traditionally, we have to start our show with NFL trivia. So this is NFL trivia divisional, not divisional round, conference championship round, excuse me. So here we go. Here is today's question, my friend. Which AFC team and NFC team have been to the most conference championships? So in the AFC, which team has been to the most conference championships? And in the NFC, which team has been to the most conference championships? Not one, been to.
Well, there's a couple of obvious answers that would come to mind, but the obvious answers are usually the ones that aren't the correct answers. We say "What up, Doe?" to Savage. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Savage in the house.
He's already making his picks. The AFC.
The AFC, most conference championship appearances in the AFC and NFC. Can he do it?
Let's start with the NFC because I think that might be a little bit easier. And the problem is that this entails the entire 100-year history of the National Football League.
That's right.
I don't know. I'm going to just throw a couple of guesses out there. For the NFC, I'm going to say... Shit. I don't even know. I'm going to say the... I don't know, man. I'm stumped on this one. This is something I should know. This is kind of like basic knowledge.
Real Savage going with Rams on this one. You want to go with him?
I agree. Oh no, I was gonna say the Patriots initially, but something kind of lead me towards the Colts. But you know what? I'll ride Savage's coattails. I'll go with the Colts. And then I did hear something over the weekend about. I'm sorry, the Pats. I did hear something over this weekend about the Colts for some reason, but I'll go with Savages. Let's put Savage on blast this time. It's conference championship. What the hell? The Pats and the Rams.
The Pats and the Rams.
I think the Rams is the correct answer because I think that's what I heard it's like an inordinate amount of championship games that you wouldn't even think of, but because it's the Rams. So let's go out there, Savage. Let's see what you got. Let's see if you're correct.
I'll tell you what, made good guesses. Those teams have been around in many of them, but in the AFC, the Patriots would be close. They have 15, but one team has more. That would be the Pittsburgh Steelers at 16. They have been to 16 AFC conference championships. And my San Francisco 49ers have been to 19.
That's I heard 9. That's what I heard. I think it was Orlovsky or somebody like that saying it was 19 and it was the 49ers. I thought it was the Rams for some reason. But yeah, that's crazy to think that they've been to that many.
I mean, you got to think about the 80s and even the 90s, obviously, and then even going into the 2000s. I mean, they've made, several Super Bowl appearances. So right there, they're in the NFC Conference Championship. But yeah, it's 49ers and the Steelers right there, two storied franchises. I thought you were going to go Cowboys and Pats.
No, I was originally going to go Steelers and Cowboys were going to be my original two.
Steelers and Cowboys. Okay.
Yep, Steelers and Cowboys, but yeah. So yeah, thanks a lot, Savage.
Statage, we'll call him right now instead of Savage. Statage coming in here. The stats, I love it.
Either this water is really good or I'm just really thirsty right now. You ever have that, Tori?
Yes,
you're drinking, it's like, man, this is just. There's something in this, or am I just that damn thirsty? So
usually it means you're really thirsty because water doesn't have flavor. It can be thirst quenching, yes, indeed, no doubt about it. But I have the same thing. I have 2 bottles of water over here because I know that I'm going to be thirsty, and the water quenches that. So I'll take it, no doubt.
Real quick, you know what? And this has been like I won't call it a vice, but this has been like a habit of mine over the last few weeks or so at work. And people are gonna laugh at this. You know what really hits the spot at like 7:00 in the morning? An ice cold.
And soda?
No, well, I used to do that. An ice cold fruit punch Gatorade. Go
Oh,
figure, man.
interesting.
And something about Gatorade when it's like that perfect temperature, and the vending machines and stuff at the job keep everything nice and cold. But I've the last few weeks or so, I've been kind of partaking in that, and yeah, man, ice cold fruit punch or orange Gatorade just like hits the spot, man. I don't know
Is
why.
that like instead of a cup of coffee, or is that
Well,
after
no, my
breakfast?
wife makes me coffee. I'll drink a cup of coffee on the way to work, and that's usually the
Okay,
only cup of coffee that I drink all day. I'm not a huge coffee drinker, although my wife will tell
that's
you
good.
if you drink a cup of coffee every day, you're a coffee drinker. But no,
Well, then I'm
I think
screwed.
I think it's just I don't know, man. You know that morning I'm usually a little bit more thirsty than the afternoon, but like I say, this water right here is just like wow, it's pretty damn good.
It's
Anyway,
you guys got that
that's the
sparkle.
hydration section of the show for today. Sorry about that.
It's all right. We can digress. We can go off the trail a little bit. It's all right. And referees are going off the trail.
Oh
Sweet.
my god.
With this blowing the whistle thing. I mean, when are they going to figure out the forward progress thing, my man? They have got to blow the whistle. I've seen so many plays where the players clearly stopped. And because we've seen so many offensive players come from behind and push, the running back
Hmm.
forward, the wide receiver forward, quarterback forward, whatever it may be, that these referees are letting the plays go. And to me, it's causing two problems. One is that if Josh Allen or whoever is reaching over to get the first down, all right, and his forward progress is stopped, but no whistle is blown and somebody knocks the ball out of his hands, well, that's a fumble because you're taught to play to the whistle. So
Right.
that's a problem right there immediately. And so to me, they got to think about these sort of things when they're implementing these rules and forward progress. Again, another thing, the second part of it is that you can get a guy really hurt if
Oh
he's
yeah.
held up long enough. And somebody, I mean, a dirty player or whatever, somebody trying to make a tackle
Hmm.
can just jump in there late and for no reason, and the whistle should have been blown. So, Prime, what I'm saying is that these referees have got to blow the whistle earlier on these forward progress plays.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think what going to your injury point, what happens is that you, me, and 10 other guys are in a pile. Some of those guys are going to relax because they think the play is over, but then the other
Yes.
half of the guys are
Yes.
still going to be going full bore. And there was
Right.
a play this weekend when you look at Josh Allen, speaking of, um, he was actually looking over towards the ref. They showed in slow motion. He's actually
Yup.
looking over towards the ref, like,
Yup.
is the play stop? And then
Yup.
the announcers were saying something that forward progress doesn't always have to end at the whistle, but do a lot of the players know that? So
Right.
you can judge forward progress. The play can be over with without the whistle being blown. So, but when you got 22 violent individuals on the field, a ambiguous ending of the play is not what you need. You need something cut and dry. You need to blow the whistle. That's what the hell it's on your hand or around your neck for. Because, like
Mhm.
you say, my biggest concern is the injury. When you got some guys going full speed, other guys tend to relax because the play's been going on 3-4 seconds, and they think it's over with. And the next thing you know, like say, a guy gets his leg taken out, or to your point too, as far as the controversial, um, I'm reaching out, but as the play over with, it gets knocked away. They run it back for a touchdown. Da, da, da. I mean, there's the
Right.
refs. I put it on social media. I think I was on TikTok or something. I forgot. I posted maybe on Twitter that officiating this season has probably been one of the worst seasons that I can remember in recent memory. What do you think, man?
I
Because it's
feel
been
like we
pretty
say
bad.
that. I feel like we say that almost every year, but yeah, there's been a lot of bad officiating, which brings me to another point about officiating, and that's these downfield pass interference calls.
Dude.
You're just going to get them. I mean, it's unbelievable. Look, is there contact these D backs are making? Yes, but what do you want them to do? Not touch them at all? Give them 5 feet of room? I mean, what are they supposed to do? They already have one of the toughest jobs in the league, being a quarterback on an island with these guys who were 6'5", 220 pounds. I mean, what do you want them to do? So it's a good thing in a way for teams that are just trying to gain 50 yards. I don't know, we're just throw it up and get a pass interference call. But these referees, I mean, they got to swallow the whistle sometimes on these calls, man. It's unbelievable.
And you and I both know this will probably never happen. But the NFL needs to stop with this spot foul for pass interference. The
Yeah,
games being won or partially decided by pass interference calls is absolutely insane. You throw the ball
Well, you
because
know the reason why
that
they
becomes
do that.
part of your game plan.
You know the reason why they do that is because if they only call it a 15-yard penalty and it happens 50 yards down the field, they feel like, oh, a defense could be playing to do pass interference, take time off the clock, and it's only 15 yards. It's not 45, 50, 55
Mhm.
yards or whatever it may be. So that's why the rule is implemented that
Okay,
way. But
make
I
it
hear you.
20. Make it 20 yards.
Yeah, make it
But to
20.
be, and then we've talked a few weeks ago about the whole automatic first down thing, which is beyond nuts to me. But that's those rules, unfortunately, for guys like you and I who probably aren't 100, totally fond of stuff like that. It's never going to change, and it's just sad that that becomes part of your offensive game. Just like you said that maybe the defense uses it part of their game plan. We'll chuck a guy, if it can end up being a 50-yard gain, we'll only get 15 yards. But then on the offensive side of that, it's like, let's just, send four verticals, go down there, throw it, and one of these guys are going to get a call. Depending on a lot of times it depends on who the quarterback is, as your pup there makes an appearance.
Yes, he
But
does.
but yeah,
He does.
I hate the spot pass interference call, and I hate the whole automatic first down on most defensive penalties. It's not fair. It's bad enough
Yeah,
that the offense gets to start at the freaking 35-yard line or whatever on kickoffs, and then the
no
40,
kidding.
45-yard line if it goes out of bounds. You're only giving them, 40, 50, 30, 40 yards to go before they even get 3 points, which that's a whole nother debate. But it's just seemed, and I understand offensively it's advantageous for the offense. I get it, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating if you're a true football fan.
It's
Friggin' hate
extremely frustrating. You feel like that ball gets thrown up and you're like gasping, you're holding your breath. You're like, oh my God, it's going to be a pass interference
it.
call because he's just going to jump up, try to make a play on the ball, and he's going to hit the other guy's hand or hold his hand down or whatever. Incidental contact. I mean, these things happen. It's football. For God's sakes, let him play.
Yep.
God, what are you going to do? Anyway, we said bad news out of the Broncos with Bo Nix in the AFC Championship. We'll talk more about that game, but the good news out of that game is that Sean Payton is trying to teach people how to coach. What he did was he kicked field goals when it was fourth down. Okay. And you know what? They ended up winning the game by what? A field goal. I know it was later in overtime, but if you don't kick those field goals earlier in the game, you're not tied and you're not going into overtime with Buffalo. So again, it just makes sense. You got a good field goal kicker. I mean, Will Lutz is a
Mhm.
good field goal kicker, and for the most part, we have them in the league. Kick the field goals, take the points. Unlike Ben Johnson, who could have been up 16-7
Yeah.
on the Rams. Instead, he decides to go for it on fourth down after fourth down, and Caleb Williams throws an interception on one of those fourth downs. Again, Prime, the examples are endless. It's continuous week after week after week.
Yeah, I know you hate it. Every now and then, it's okay. A couple times a
Of
game,
course,
but
yes.
if but when I get it if you're at your 45-yard, if you're at your opponent's 45-yard line, you don't want to trot your kicker out there for a 62-yarder. I can almost understand that. But when it's, 4th and 3 and you're at your 30 and you haven't been able to move the ball consistently or whatever the case, there's a reason you're in a 4th and 3 situations because you couldn't pick up
True.
10 yards on the first 3 downs.
Right.
And but going to Ben Johnson, he went to the Dan Campbell school of going for it on fourth down.
Yeah,
He's
he
he's
sure
trying
did.
to, my biggest thing with him is that they didn't go for two towards the end of the game to try to ice it instead of, kicking the extra point and sending it in overtime where
Oh, okay.
you give Matt Stafford the opportunity to, to kind of put an end to your season. Now, we talked about the development of Caleb Williams and that throw where he's running backwards for his life, when he
Wow.
threw the ball, I knew it was going to be a touchdown. You just knew it.
Yeah,
You just
right.
knew it. And then the Rams defender steps up instead of stepping back towards the receiver. If you watch
Yeah.
that play closely, and it's like,
He got
okay,
pushed a little bit. Either
okay,
way, whatever, man. That is amazing.
but yeah, that was
The
that
fact that
throw.
the
That
fact
throw
that
was
he's
amazing.
standing in the corner of the end zone by himself is just unreal. And Caleb, look, he made a 50-yard throw falling backwards. That guy has got incredible arm talent. That was amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
The Bears are going to be problems for the next few years. So that that Bears team is going to be some serious problems if Caleb Williams keeps progressing. And like you say, maybe if Ben Johnson starts to go for it a little less, they might win a couple more
I'm
games.
saying, man, be the head coach. We got to say, real savage over here is saying, what up, bro? Good to see you guys and be at the stream. Much love and respect to y'all always. We appreciate you, man. Absolutely.
Always,
We love it.
always.
We love it. We love it. Yeah. So crazy stuff going on.
Well, and
And
here's what's going on with the turnovers, man. What the
well,
hell? This
ask,
playoff has been plagued by multiple turnovers from quarterbacks.
ask Josh Allen and CJ Stroud. I mean, both of them really kind of lost the games for their team by turning the ball over so much. I know James Cook had a fumble, but Josh Allen, 2 picks, 2 fumbles. CJ Stroud, 4 interceptions. He went
Mhm.
like 20 for 47. Both of these guys had bad games. I mean, Josh Allen was Superman at times, but you're right. These picks, man, these interceptions and fumbles, like, dude, you told to hold on to the ball, and Josh Allen does that. He's guilty of that, Prime. You know that. He holds that ball out there like like a loaf of bread, like what they call it. But it's easy for them to knock it away. He's like invincible. He thinks nothing bad is going to happen to him. But yeah, interceptions, man. It just goes to show you, you win the turnover battle, you're probably going to win the game. And it's amazing Buffalo was still even in that game after
Mhm.
committing 5 turnovers.
Well, and you look at Drake May. Drake May was
Yeah.
dropping the ball all over the place, but it just so happened, Cleveland's offense was so bad because of CJ
Oh,
Stroud.
Houston's offense.
Houston, I'm sorry. Their offense was so bad, thanks to CJ Stroud and his 4 first half interceptions. Let me ask you something real quick.
Jeez.
After his second or third interception, if you're D'Amico Ryans, did it ever come across in your mind at all to bench him?
It had to come across his mind, but I still would not have done it. CJ Stroud is your guy. He's the one who's been winning, all
Mhm.
these games lately. I know that Mills came in there and did a really good job, but for that to happen in a divisional round game, no, you want to give your quarterback who's been there and who's done that, won playoff games, give him the chance to come back and win. Did not happen that way, obviously, but yeah, I would not have brought in Mills, to be honest
But
with you.
but he had a bad game against Pittsburgh too.
He did. I know.
And I get, I agree with you 100%. There's no way I'm going to bench because I think CJ at 70% is still better than Davis Mills at 100%,
Yeah,
regardless of the turnovers. And despite all of the turnovers, you still only lost that game by 12 points. You were still basically in that game. So a
right.
couple plays here and there, you had no Nico Collins, you had no Dalton Schultz,
Right.
your right tackle goes out. You
You
have
got to
no
factor in the weather.
the
Obviously, the weather
weather
was an issue. CJ
and
Stroud really had a problem with that. And you know what? I had a problem with his body language, man. I don't know what the hell was going on with him, but he just seemed like I don't really give a shit about what's going on out here. I don't know. Maybe he got paid off by the mob or something like that because he just played an absolute
he
game.
went to Ohio State, so there's a good
Yeah,
chance he's gonna have. So yeah, Savage says I
real
agree they
savage.
shouldn't have benched Stroud, but they absolutely need to come off him ASAP. And he's not that dude. He's not going to get you where you need to go in the playoffs. I kind of agree with that, but he is up for. They'll probably pick up his 5th-year option for I think $24 or $26 million. The $1 million question next year is that he both and Bryce Young are both going into their 5th-year options, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the Texans do with CJ Stroud. I'm not really too concerned about the Carolina Panthers moving on from Bryce Young because that probably wouldn't be as big of news as the Texans saying, you know what, we're just not feeling you, bro. So next year is going to be a very prove it year for CJ Stroud if he's looking to get an extension.
Yeah, no doubt. And we'll see. CJ Stroud's going to have to play much better because he has been regressing. He just has. Yeah, real quick. What do you think of that Brandon Cooks catch? I mean,
It was a catch.
usually, yeah, it's
It was
okay.
a catch.
Tie goes to the runner. It does seem like the defender maybe had it a little bit longer, but I agree with you. I mean, usually
Once he
that
hits the
is
ground,
catch.
once they hit the ground,
That should be it.
that should be over. And
Yeah,
this goes back to what you and I have been complaining about for months is just like you talk about the forward progress, when does that end? And what is a catch? What the hell is a catch? When is the catch and the
yeah.
process over with? once you hit the ground, especially when both guys go to the ground, the play's over with. And to me, and I'm not just saying that because I wanted Josh Allen to get the victory, but to me that was a catch. And you go through and you ask people on social media, you listen to the talking heads on TV. It's a consensus that that was a catch. And ultimately, and something we didn't talk about yet, is that led to the firing of yet another highly accomplished,
Yep.
depending on your perspective, highly accomplished coach in Sean McDermott. And by the way, you and I kind of called that out at the beginning of the
Oh, we've been talking about this for
season.
months. We've been talking about this. We said
So,
this is it. If he
yeah.
doesn't do it this year, he's done. He's fired, and they are fired. And we're
The
going to
meeting
talk
took
about
7 minutes, Prophet. 7 minutes. He walked
7
in.
minutes.
7 minutes later, they come out and he doesn't have a job.
Yeah, and he shouldn't be surprised either. He's done a marvelous job. He's been in the playoffs like 8 out of the last 9 years, or something crazy like that. And they've gone to the conference championships. But you know what? Not even a Super Bowl appearance. And this year was the year for you to do it. Didn't do it this year. Yeah, time for him to go. Time to bring in new blood. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. No doubt about it. So I do agree with it. I hear people like Ryan Clark saying, this is crazy. You're not going to do any better. But sometimes you just need a change. They're good on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively has been a problem, and that was supposed to be Sean McDermott's area. And you know what? It wasn't. Not his area at all. So what are you going to do? Oh,
Well, he's
man.
given up in their playoff losses. They've given up like 33 points a game in their playoff losses in their last, I think, 6 playoff losses. So, these defensive coaches we teased Aaron Glenn a little bit. And your boy from San Francisco gets a job after his team gives up 41 points in a playoff game. So
I know it's crazy. I know, but he
but
did
it
so
happens.
much with so little. I
Yeah,
was kind of hoping he was going to go
absolutely.
somewhere else. Oh, Tennessee, God. Speaking of my Niners, what are you going to say? Seattle held them to a total of 9 points in the last 2 meetings they had. They're the better team. What am I going to
Dude.
say? The 49ers, they didn't show up because they don't have anybody to show up. They don't have players.
We would love to show up, but we don't have anybody.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
I mean,
sorry. We just
what are
want
you gonna
everybody to bring in the bus. There's nobody to freaking half the bus is empty on the way to the stadium. I mean, it's an absolute joke. So I think, you know what? I'm not even mad about the thing, to be honest with you. I just want to get back healthy next year
Mhm.
and see if we can possibly make another run. But again, health has got to be on our side. Had it been, it would have been a different game. But I want to say, in the same token, Seattle played a great game.
Dude.
Clint Kubiak did a great job calling the game. Mike McDonald and his defense, unbelievable, swarming all over the place. And look, they ran the ball down the 49ers' throats, man. If they could do that to the Rams, watch out.
Dude, Seattle, and I'm not going to change my pick by any stretch, but Seattle, man, them boys look for real, especially
Yeah,
like it's now Charbonnet's out, so that's going to affect their running game. They still got Kenneth Walker. They've
Dale
averaged
Walker.
their last 6 games going back to the regular season. They've averaged like 173 yards rushing. So they got 8 rushing touchdowns and I think almost 7 or 800 yards in their last 6 games, or the last 4 games. I'm sorry. So they're running the ball. Sam Darnold is not having to do everything by himself, but it helps that you still have a quarterback like him, and you got the clearly best receiver in the league, just in case the running game doesn't work out. You still got JSN to throw to. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, man, Seattle looks good.
Yeah, they're well coached, man. They block. You see Cooper Cup blocking downfield and everything. I mean, they just all know what to do. They got a really good team, and you got to watch out for them. Yeah, we'll talk about that game in a little bit. Yeah, a couple of things to go over, like the head coaching positions. Robert Saleh, you mentioned, to the Titans. I don't love that for him, to be honest with you. I
Mhm.
don't see a lot going on with the Titans. I mean, it's going to take a long time for them to rebuild, and they do have competition within that division. So, are you going to give Robert Saleh the 5 years that you agreed to give him, or is he
No.
going to get chopped up in 2 years when they're again maybe, I don't know, 5-13 possibly, because they just really don't have anything going on?
No, and here's something I didn't even realize. I didn't realize he was the Jets head coach for 4 years.
Oh yeah,
Did that time just fly?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
did.
was I?
It was forgotten. Nobody
I
gave a shit because nothing good was. Zach Wilson was the quarterback, and he was fucking everybody's mother. That's what the big deal was.
Oh, Jesus.
That was the big deal about that team. I mean, that was a bunch
The
of
views and
garbage right
opinions
there.
expressed by the prophet are not necessarily the
Yeah.
views of the
Robert
Pime
Saleh
and The
was not
Prophet.
given a fair shot. He was not given a fair shot, and I'm mad because I feel like he's not going to be given a fair shot again. And he is that kind of excuse me, that kind of coach that players absolutely love and want to play
Oh
for. But you
man.
got to have good players to play for him, damn it.
You
Oh my
do.
God.
But yeah, I didn't. I mean, I knew, but it's just like, man, he coached the Jets for 4 years. That 4 years went by fast. And I guess, they say time flies when you're having fun, but I guess time flies when you're coaching the Jets and you're losing. And I will say this, I don't think Aaron Glenn's going to get 4 years. And we'll get to that when we get
Oof.
to our coaching carousel, because I also want your
Word.
opinion on a couple of guys who you think are going to be on the hot seat going into next year. I got a
All right.
couple of
That'd be
tasty names
interesting.
for you. So
Yeah, we got some coaching stuff we're going to do a little bit later on. We'll get into that. But yeah, Harbaugh to the Giants, I mean, that's a huge one. You got to be really happy about this. I mean, the Giants are a freaking absolute home run. He negotiated. He got what he wanted. Is Todd Monken coming along? Do we know that for sure?
more than likely. I guess he and Harbaugh been talking over the weekend, so that's pretty much a done deal. They're just,
That's good.
I guess
Yeah.
they're trying to finalize some contractual things, but so it does look like that the Baltimore Ravens are going to have John Harbaugh and Todd Monken, um, and then now it's just a matter of
Giants.
finding a good defensive coordinator, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
what did I say, Jim Harbaugh? I got
No, you said the Ravens. It just
oh my,
fixed
yeah, the Giants. Hello, and
slipping the tongue right there.
but yeah, so I'm interested to see who they're going to swoop up for defensive coordinator. The
Yeah.
defensive coordinator is actually walking into a slightly better position than the offensive coordinator, because I still think you need somebody to go alongside Malik Neighbors. You
They
hope that
got
Cam Scatterbo comes back healthy, and then of course everybody's so high on Jackson Dart, where I'm not that high, but I'm willing to give the guy a chance just because he brings an excitement to the quarterback position that the New York Giants haven't had since that most exciting, dynamic quarterback in the history of the New York Giants. And I
yeah.
know you love him, Mr. Eli Manning, but
Eli. Yeah, ooh, I love him. All right. Yeah, he's my favorite. Jeez.
hey, in fairness, you don't hate him as much as you hate, and we haven't mentioned his name in a few weeks, Mr. James Garoppolo. There you go.
Yeah.
Last Jimmy G reference of the season. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, really. Please let that be it.
In case you guys were wondering out there.
We had gone a long time without mentioning his name. We could have gone longer, but you had to do it. I love it. I love it.
Jimmy
What do you
Garoppolo.
think about the hiring with Stefanski to the Falcons? I mean, he
Shocked.
must believe in Michael Penix. I'm a little shocked too, right? I didn't see that coming. I'm with you.
I would think that he would go, maybe I thought maybe he would end up going to like the Raiders or maybe even the Cardinals or somewhere, just to kind of be low key and off the radar. But I think it shocked a lot of people when he ended up going to the Falcons. But like you said, I don't know how much belief there is in Michael Penix. You and I aren't extremely high on him. But they do have some weapons. They have a solid defense. And I think if
Yeah,
you
they
get
do.
the right coordinator, the key to that whole thing, and you and I know this, and it's cliched, is that same thing with the Giants, is that you need somebody to come in and develop the young quarterback, not just call plays, not just be a coordinator, but you need somebody that's going to sit in the room with him, say, hey, this, and actually develop him as a quarterback. So, but
And the question to that
the,
is, my question to that is, will Stefanski allow that to happen, or will he immerse himself as the offensive play caller, the offensive coordinator, and the guy who's going to make Penix as good as he could possibly be, and really run that offense around Bijan Robinson as long as you possibly can before you got to pay him $1 gazillion?
yeah, that's because that time is coming.
Yeah,
That
it's
time is
coming,
coming. What,
and
2
he's going to
years?
make that money.
Yeah,
Somebody will pay him.
Yep, and it's not going to be I don't think they'll make the same mistake that the Giants made with Saquon and let him get away, because as we saw, Saquon can still be pretty effective. The Giants kind of pretty much gave up on him. But yeah, I was when I heard that, I thought I heard it wrong. I thought it was just like a blurb that said, he was like a candidate or he was interviewing. I didn't know that he had actually finalized and took that job. But Arthur Blake, is very convincing. You know, he's an OG. He wants to win, and I think when you sit in a room with Arthur Blake, you kind of pick up on that. You know, the guy's up there in age. He just wants to win something, man. And he
Yeah,
wants the
yeah.
Falcons to be relevant because we know damn sure the Hawks aren't, because they gave away Trey Young for a bag of chips and a popsicle. But that's for another show.
Yeah, that's another story right there. You ain't kidding, man. Jeez, Trey Young, the rise and fall of Trey Young.
Oh
That'll
my
be a
God.
documentary maybe one day. But yeah, the last one, Jeff Hafley is hired by the Miami Dolphins, former defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers for a couple of years. He used to be a head coach at Boston College going back a little bit of time ago. But one of the big reasons why he was hired, from what I understand, is that John Eric Sullivan, their GM, was in the front office with the Green Bay Packers for like decades, man,
Yeah.
for a long time, and was really close with Jeff Hafley. So brought him over as the DC. A lot of people do like the hiring. Some are not so sure, because what are you going to do on offense? What are you going to do with Tua? There are still so many question marks on that team, where another guy is thrown into a really tough situation. And now, not to mention it, a tough division with Buffalo and New England both being perennial playoff teams.
Well, let me ask you something real quick. Is Miami basically the Arizona of the AFC?
Ooh, I wouldn't
mean,
go that far. I don't know. I think they're close enough to still possibly being good. They do need to revamp parts of the roster, but they're not. They finished the season off pretty well. Again, that was with Tua. What are you going to do? Are you going to go Quinn Ewers? Or are you going to try to find somebody else? Because I'm not saying Quinn Ewers is the answer right now. Do you try to bring Tua back and say, you know what, let's give it one more shot?
well,
Because he is owed a lot of money. If he doesn't
$91
play,
million if they
it's
cut him.
insane amount.
If I'm Tua, cut me. If I'm Tua, go ahead and cut me. $91 million they would owe him if they and the cap hit would be if they decided to cut him, which I'm kind of in lockstep with you. I don't think they're going to give up on him just yet, especially with a first year brand new head coach. Like you say, they'll probably give it a year, but along with Bryce Young, along with CJ Stroud, and now you throw Tua into that mix, this is a put up or shut up year for the Miami Dolphins. And I think what Miami fans, kind of like the Raider fans, you have to have realistic expectations, because there are two teams in that division that are clearly better than you. So I guess you go into next season, are you happy being in third place in your division? Because you're not going to supplant the Bills and you're not going to supplant the Patriots. So you're fighting for third place with the highly successful New York Jets.
New York Jets, the highly successful New York Jets.
Fly high, baby, fly high. They're not a 747 jet. They're like one of those, like the Wright brothers' first airplane. I wouldn't even call them a jet. I'd call them like one of those little puddle jumpers that they use like to tour you over the Grand Canyon or something like that. Little prop propeller airplanes.
You gotta wind it up from the back.
right, like a freaking music box. Anyway,
it's classic.
That's our Jets discussion for the day.
Oh, the New York Jets. God bless them. What are you going to do? Oh my God. That's funny. All right, Prime. Let's keep it moving, man. We got some more stuff to do. We got big deal or no deal, as we do every week. And I am always anxious to hear what Prime has got for me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Big Deal or No Deal, sponsored by the Power 32 podcast. This is the segment of the show where I present the Prophet and the chat with several different scenarios, and the Prophet tells us whether or not they're big deal or no deal. And let's start right away with I want your take on the overall state of quarterback play in the NFL this past season. We've seen some very good stuff. We've seen some very bad stuff. Is it a big deal or no deal that we've seen probably a lot more bad quarterback play than we have seen good quarterback play this season, especially going into the playoffs? Is that a big deal or no deal, especially if you're the fan of a particular team?
No deal. I think it was a funky season. It was weird. Again, we had Lamar out, Burrow out, Mahomes out. You know, Josh Allen only the real big guy in the AFC as far as quarterbacks go. We see the emergence of Bo Nix and Drake May and what Sam Darnold is doing, over there with the Seahawks. So I would say this year is more of a fabrication. We had a lot of guys get hurt, obviously, whether it be Daniel Jones or whether it be Jackson Dart or, insert name over here. We had
Mhm.
players get hurt. We had players miss time like Lamar Jackson. So it's more of a fabrication this year because we had a lot of backup quarterback play. You didn't know what was going on in certain situations in Indy after Daniel Jones went down. I mean, you're getting Phillip Rivers, 44 years old, to come off the couch being a grandfather. So I wouldn't worry about it as much. I think that the league is in really good shape with young quarterbacks. Even a guy like Tyler Shock, believe it or not, New Orleans just started to
Right.
emerge. We have good young quarterbacks, and they're going to be around for a long time. We just got to keep them upright and healthy.
And I agree with that. That's very well said. So piggybacking off of that, going into next season and seeing what we saw this season as far as the injuries and Mr. Granddaddy Phillip Rivers coming off his couch, putting his nachos down and coming off the couch to play for the Colts. Is it going to be a big deal or no deal going into next season? How much emphasis that teams are going to put on finding a solid backup quarterback, because a lot of teams in the league don't have them.
Yeah, I think that it's growing more and more of a thing. Again, we just talked about this year how many quarterbacks went out and
Mhm.
how you need a backup quarterback to either ride your season for a little while, like the way Davis Mills did in Houston. He was able to kind of keep them afloat, the way that Mac Jones did in San Francisco, keep them afloat. There aren't many of these guys, though. That's the problem. So a lot of times you're looking to go to Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson as your backup quarterback. And is that always the right decision? No, but it does bring veteranship to the locker room. A guy who's been there and done that and everything. But it is difficult when you have such a finite amount of such really good quarterbacks to
Mhm.
begin with. I mean, there's 32 of them. Now looking for 32 backups makes it almost impossible. But that's where the draft comes in. You get somebody in the 5th, 6th, 7th round who can step in and play really good ball. You never know what you can get out of him because we've seen guys go late in drafts and become really good quarterbacks.
That's your guy is probably the prime example of that, Mr. Brock Purdy. Yeah, I
Right?
called him Mister. I gave him a
Mister.
title, Mr. Brock Purdy.
Or
Uh,
the GOAT, Tom Brady, 6th round.
there
I
you
mean, you just
go.
never know when it's going to happen.
So
Kurt Warner didn't even get drafted. I
exactly,
mean,
yeah, bagging
shit
groceries for the Iowa barnstormers. That's crazy. But
happens.
anyway, let's piggyback off of that before we go to the next point. So, in your opinion, is that a development issue that a lot of these quarterbacks are coming out of college underdeveloped, running spread offenses, don't know how to go under center? And I know that this problem hasn't just been like the last 4 or 5 years. These offenses in college have evolved probably over the last decade or so. But is that more of a development issue? If you were a head coach and you had a guy like Daniel Jones or Michael Penix, let's say, how much time would you realistically spend with your backup quarterback just to make sure that you're ready, especially in the case of the Colts? You're right in the middle of being in a playoff run, one of the best teams in the conference. Something like that happens, and not only are you forced to go to a backup quarterback, you're forced to go to a guy that hasn't played in 5 years. So to me, it's a development issue because I don't think coaches take time enough to develop these quarterbacks. But at the same time, to your point, you're not going to find 32 backup quarterbacks. I'm just curious to get
Right.
your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's hard enough. And then when you run scout offense, against the number one defense, you want to run it to your best of your ability, and you want to have a guy back there who can mimic the next starting opposing quarterback, and that
Mhm.
always doesn't happen. We have so many mobile quarterbacks, in there, and then we have pocket guys who really can't run at all. There are a few of them out there, Stafford, but he may be the MVP. But you said the key 2 words: under center. We are losing that in the NFL too much. And the biggest part of that is play action. You can't run as successful a play action at a shotgun as you do under center, because when you go under center, you turn your back to the defense, and the defense is now thinking, oh, he really may hand the ball off. The
Mhm.
linebackers come up, it creates space, and if you're a good enough quarterback, you're able to throw it over the linebacker and under the safety. These teams going from shotgun on 1st and 10 all the time makes me sick. It almost takes away the running game. You have
It
to be
does.
able to develop your running game in order to be able to go under center and do these play action plays. But if you don't have that threat there, teams know you're one-dimensional and that you're throwing, and you may run a draw here and there, but they're not afraid of it. So that's what NFL quarterbacks and coaches need to get back to, is having these quarterbacks under center. Look at all the success. Matt Stafford, yeah, he goes out of shotgun, but he's under center all the time, doing play action all the time. Does he have really good players? Yeah, no doubt about it. But there's a reason they're back in the NFC Conference Championship.
There you go. Amen to that. So moving on to the next one, we touched on it briefly. So Zach Charbonnet is out for the Seattle Seahawks, and just when their running game started to peak, you lose your top back. So I kind of know the answer to this, but I'm curious as to what you think overall. Is that a big deal or no deal? And will Kenneth Walker be able to be enough to supplement that running game and to keep Seattle's playoff or Super Bowl hopes alive?
Well, Kenneth Walker certainly did the job last week. I mean, he ran all over the place. He got in the end zone. He did his thing. Having Zach Charbonnet as a compliment is a huge thing, especially when, again, your quarterback is Sam Darnold, and you want to run the ball 60% of the time. You don't want to be a throwing team when Sam Darnold's your quarterback. I'm sorry, even when you got Jackson Smith and Jigba. But Sam Darnold, I'm going to give him some credit. He has played well, but when he's played the Rams, he's thrown, I think, 6 interceptions in their last 8 meetings or something like that. So he's prone to throwing interceptions to this team. He's got a little problem with the Rams. I know they beat him last time out. So it'll be interesting to see that dynamic. But I think that Kenneth Walker can get the job done, but that depends more on the offensive line. Are they going to be able to move around that tough defensive line of the Los Angeles Rams? I know they're known more for pass rushing, but if they can get through and break free and, get the running back in the backfield, yeah, that's going to be a big deal. But the fact that they want to run the ball mostly does hurt, because Zach Charbonnet is helping out Kenneth Walker and letting him get a breather on the sideline and get his carries, and he's really good around the goal line. So, yeah, I do think it's a big deal.
Absolutely. The Detroit Lions hire – this is crazy. Drew Pensick, former offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, from what everybody's said and what you read, he's a very run-heavy, play-action, 2-3 tight end kind of guy. Is it a big deal or no deal that the Lions did not hire Mike McDaniels as their offensive coordinator?
Well, that would have been great. I'm not sure if it's a big deal or no deal, because he's also interviewing for head coaching jobs as well as offensive coordinator jobs. And that he's holding out hope for maybe getting a head coaching job over an OC. No doubt about it. So does this fall back on Dan Campbell saying, yeah, I'm still going to call the plays. It's going to be my offense and we're going to do what I want to do? To me, that's a mistake. So you want to put your faith in the new guy that you brought in and hopefully that he can run the offense, and you have a whole offseason to figure it out. So to me, it's a big deal in the fact that, can he do a better job than Johnny Morton? Can he come back in and do the job that Ben Johnson once did, which is a really tall task? But those are the two extremes that we're at right now.
And I agree. And the side note to that is that I guess Ben Johnson and Pensick are really good friends. He was a groomsman at Ben Johnson's wedding. So, and he does have some kind of, he does have like some Ben Johnson type ideas. But the prevailing thought up here is that Mike McDaniel was interested, the Lions were interested, but they didn't want to be in a position to where they had an offensive coordinator that was going to leave after 1 year when Mike McDaniel, kind of like what Saleh did with the Niners. And 2, Dan Campbell, it's kind of like a control thing. You're not going to be able to have that grasp, that chokehold on the offense if you got a guy like Mike McDaniel, who's been a head coach, is a Yale guy and very smart and nerdy, is going to come in and say, hey, you're doing this wrong. Whereas Drew Pensick is just happy to get the hell out of Arizona. Everything, the running game is highly rated, not this past year because James Conner was dead most of the year. But they do have top 10-ish stats when you kind of go back and do your research. So all in all, it might, it's just a wait and see thing. But I think some of this had to do with Dan Campbell saying, hey, I could probably put my thumb more on this guy than a guy like Mike McDaniel. So we'll go.
Well, he did have success running the ball in Arizona, and you got Jahmyr Gibbs and you got David Montgomery over here with the Detroit Lions. So you would hope that some of that would rub off and run over.
Yeah, you got upgrades across the board from quarterback, tight end. I guess Trey McBride and Laporte is kind of a wash depending on who you're a fan of, but yeah, that's
I'm
going to be very
disappointed
interesting to
in
see.
Laporta. Laporta is not as good as I thought he was going to be. I think that he was a little bit overrated when he came out.
He was hurt a lot though this year.
Yeah, he's
He's
been
had
hurt.
some injuries, and then there's games where golf will simply forget about him and stuff. Amon Ross St. Brown and Jameson Williams with the ball.
Yeah.
So hopefully next year it'll be different. So last one. Excuse me. The fact that Caleb Williams again throws a game-ending interception, and this one actually seals the Bears' playoff fate. Is it big deal or no deal? And I guess what I'm asking is, does this change your narrative of Caleb Williams going into next season as far as him being able to be the guy that can get the Bears to that next level?
No deal, because on that particular play, DJ Moore was supposed to cross the face of the defender, and he didn't. He slowed down, he ended his route, and the defender was able to make a really, I think it was Curley, I forgot who made the interception. Made a really good interception on the play. Wasn't the greatest throw also, I'll give you that, but there was a miscommunication. I'm not worried about Caleb Williams right now. I was worried about him for a while. I wasn't sure. But Ben Johnson has got the best out of him, and he has improved every week. No, I have high hopes, if I'm a Bears fan, going into next season, that they'll be right back in the same position that they were this year, and maybe even going forward to an NFC championship, because they're becoming that good, and now they're becoming a spot where players actually want to go to and join.
That's crazy.
Right? It's amazing. And if they can bolster up that defense a little bit more, yeah, they'll be a team to reckon with for a long time.
Yeah, I agree. And quick side note, so Sean McDermott, as we mentioned earlier, no longer the Bills head coach. Josh Allen, where does he go from here? What's the narrative for Josh Allen next season and beyond? Because you talked about it last week. Had he won the Super Bowl, you won it because you didn't have to face Lamar and Mahomes. And can we take Burrow out of the equation, please? Burrow's a good quarterback, but stop saying Burrow, Lamar, and Mahomes and Allen. He's not in that group. He's been to the Super Bowl one time, and his team hasn't made the playoffs in 2 years. So take him. He's good.
3 years.
That guy. 3 years. Take him out of the equation when you talk about great quarterbacks in the AFC that you have to overcome. But I don't know. What do you think about Josh Allen? He's going in next year with a new coach. They need to overhaul that roster. That's for damn sure. And to give him a legitimate shot, because he's done it all. He can't keep playing like this and doing everything on his own. What do you think? Yeah. What do you think? Just your opinion of Josh Allen in the next year or two?
Josh Allen's about to turn 30 years old. All right. Now, I'm not calling him ancient or anything like that, but his prime years are starting to get away from him. And if he doesn't have the proper help around him, he's got a problem. Now, I have an idea who I like for their head coach. We'll talk about that in a little bit because we're going to do a little segment on that. But he's got Joe Brady still, who runs the offense, and they get along great. Things work out with that offense, no doubt about it. It's the rest of the team that they have to worry about. And Josh Allen, it would be a shame if he went down as the next Dan Marino, a guy who can – I mean, Marino even got to a Super Bowl, you know? Josh Allen doesn't even get to one. He's got to win one to cement his legacy, because to me, when you just look at him overall, he's a top 10 to 15 quarterback of all time. Ooh. He really is. He just doesn't have the hardware to prove it. He is that good, and he has been able to take a team on his back for years and years now. I mean, again, name me his top wide receiver. He doesn't have one.
That's kind of where I'm going. The Buffalo Bills organization owes it to him. They owe it to him to get a better roster around him. And like I say, Sean McDermott ended up falling on the sword, but it is what it is. This isn't a Buffalo Bills show, but both of us have much love for Josh Allen. So
absolutely.
All right, that was a big deal or no deal. It's all right. Prophet bringing it as always, and yeah. So now we get into the coaching carousel, the Power 32 coaching carousel. So right now there's 6 jobs left: Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Buffalo. Who would have thought that? We would have.
Right.
Cleveland, the Raiders, and Arizona. So I'm going to give you a couple names, and you kind of just plug them in as to where you think they might go. So
Okay.
let's start off with one of the hot ones. Probably the hottest name out there, other than Mike McCarthy, Jesse Minter, who's the current defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers.
I've been hearing Jesse Minter to the Ravens a lot, but I think the Ravens
Ooh.
are going to go in a different direction. We'll get into that. Jesse Minter, I'm thinking the Las Vegas Raiders. It'll be his first time coaching. He's been in that division now for a couple of years under Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, so he knows that division. The Raiders are hungry for one of them newer, younger head coaches that can come
Mhm.
in and do things like Sean McVay does, or Mike McDonald does, or Liam Cohen does, or whatever it may be. Jesse Minter, look, he was with the Ravens from 2017 to 2020. So that is a possibility. He ends up back in Baltimore. But I think that the Ravens are going in a different direction. So I think Minter may be going to the Raiders out of all teams.
Yeah, that's a very strong possibility as they look to get polar opposite from what they just had from Mister Spray Tan Gum Chewer, Mister Pete Carroll. So, well, let's go to the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Let's so here. Well, here let me give you a name. Let's go Clint Kubiak, who seems to be, and I know he can't interview right now, but he's probably going to end up being a head coach somewhere. Clint Kubiak, if he were a candidate, where would you see him landing? So you got Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, and Arizona left.
I might say Cleveland because you want to bring around that young quarterback.
Yeah.
And if that's possible that Clint Kubiak can do that, am I sure he's going to be a head coach? No, not 100%. But Cleveland may be the spot to do it. They're pretty set at DC with Jim Schwartz. He's been doing a great job over there. And when you have Miles Garrett, it's easy to do a really good job. But I think that Clint Kubiak could be a good fit for the Cleveland Browns. I don't see any other spot where he really would be a good fit because everywhere else has kind of quarterback problems right now,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, so, except for Buffalo, of course. But I don't think that the Bills are going to hire Clint Kubiak to be their head coach. So if I had to put him somewhere, it'd be with Cleveland.
And I agree. And a side note, I'm wondering almost if Jim Schwartz isn't going to end up being a
A
coaching
candidate?
candidate, yeah, for
Yeah,
that bill. Probably the most underrated defensive coordinator in the league.
I
Everybody talks
agree.
about Brian Flores and all these,
No one talks about him.
Shula and all. It's like Jim Schwartz is that guy. I kind of
Yeah,
miss him here in Detroit.
yep.
So let's go on to the next team. Let's go to the aforementioned Brian Flores, who had a interview today. I forgot who it was with, but he had an interview today. So Brian Flores, you got Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Arizona left on the board. Brian
I
Flores.
love Brian. I love Brian Flores to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that'd be a
That's
really
who he
good
had.
fit.
That's who he interviewed with.
That's who we interviewed with
Yep.
today. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I knew he was interviewing with him. I didn't know if it was today or not. But
Yep.
Brian Flores to the Pittsburgh Steelers is a really good fit. He's a young enough coach where you can have him around and keep that head coaching thing going for another 15 years with this guy, possibly. He had his time with the Dolphins as the head coach, but he didn't get along with Tua. All right. Maybe they should have
Mm-hmm.
kept Flores and got rid of Tua when you look back at it. But to me, Brian Flores would fit in really good with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, they got to figure their stuff out at quarterback, but they need to get back to that defensive juggernaut they used to be. And Brian Flores has done such a great job in Minnesota, and Minnesota's defense has had to be on the field a whole lot this year
Oh my
and still
God.
got the job done. So I think that he would do a great job with Pittsburgh. And I think that maybe he might want to bring along Raheem Morris with him to be his D coordinator.
There you go. I like that. I like that. So, all right, we got Buffalo, Baltimore, and Arizona left on the board. So I'm going to throw this name out at you because everybody just seems to think he's going to get back into coaching. Mike McCarthy.
Why not the Buffalo Bills? The Buffalo Bills need stability. They need a coach, not some up and young and comer who's going to maybe make Josh Allen the next best. No, they got Joe Brady. They're in good shape with their OC. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so I think that you want to bring in stability. Mike McCarthy does that. He coached the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys, two of the hardest coaching jobs you can have in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
Bring him to the Buffalo Bills. He's a really good coach. You know you're going to win 11, 12, 13 games with this guy most likely because He did it with the Dallas Cowboys, for Christ's sake. I think he can do it with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And again, like I said, you got Joe Brady over there already. What they need to do is fix their defense. So if they did decide to bring in a defensive guy, a Chris Shula, Anthony Weaver,
Mm-hmm.
Brian Flores, somebody like that. Okay, I'm fine with that. But at the end of the day, Mike McCarthy seems to be a really good fit for that town.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It's almost like you can picture him on the sideline right now. You can
I
just kind of
can.
see that actually
I can
realistically
see
happen.
it.
So
And a
we got
big puffy blue
Baltimore.
jacket.
We got Baltimore and Arizona left. I'm gonna save the one name for last because I'm just kind of curious. So let's go let's go Mike McDaniels.
Okay.
Where
I
do you
think
where do you see him?
we talked about Cleveland before, but I think that Cleveland would be the spot again. If Shador Sanders is going to be your quarterback, then you need an offensive coordinator, an offensive mind who's going to come in there and mold this guy and make him your guy and do a lot with not a lot because they need a lot of help. They got to get receivers, they got to get help over there. Running back, they're doing a pretty good job of Quinshaw Judkins. That's nice, but I think that Mike McDaniel to the Cleveland Browns makes a lot of sense. It really does. I don't like him going to Arizona. I don't like him going to Baltimore, really. But I think with Cleveland and having Jim Schwartz as the DC and not having to worry about it, I think that would make sense
So you like Kubiak or McDaniels for the Browns?
for the Browns. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go Matt Nagy, current offensive coordinator for the you got Baltimore and Arizona left. Current offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, or do you see him, nowhere, staying with
I
the
don't
Chiefs?
see him. No, I don't see it happening. I'm not sure if he's going to even move on from the Chiefs offensive coordinator. And if he does, maybe he can land in a spot.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think maybe with the Raiders, or something like that. But I don't see Matt Nagy landing a job this year. I really don't.
Yeah, he's lucky to still have one. So,
True.
Cliff Kingsbury,
Cliff
does,
Kingsbury,
does
I
he go
think
back to Arizona?
I I think he's still more in that offensive coordinator role. I don't think that
Yeah,
he's going to be a head coach yet. And I think that now that he has left the Washington Commanders, if Robert Saleh is smart, bring Cliff Kingsbury along with you to be your offensive coordinator.
yeah, I like that. You got him semi-mobile. Cam can kind of move a little bit. He's not Jaden Daniels by any stretch of the imagination. But so I
Right.
got three more names here and two spots left. So let's go Chris Shula, defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams.
I have another name in mind for the Arizona Cardinals, but I would put Chris Shula with Arizona because they need so much help on defense, and he's done a really good job with better players with the Rams, no doubt
Hmm.
about it. But Chris Shula, if I'm going to put him anywhere, it would be with the Cardinals. He knows that division, and again, they need a defensive guy to come in there and really start working that team from the inside out and building
Yeah,
because they have a lot to build on. So if you want a young head coach in there and you want him to be there for a long time, Chris Shula could be the answer.
I like that. And here's my last name. I got a couple, but this is for the sake of the segment. This is my last name. Coming back, potential head coach Brian Dable.
Oh, Brian Dable, that's interesting. I thought about him as a head coach, and then I thought about him as an OC, and then I thought about him in Baltimore as an OC with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and trying to get that together. Dable, he could possibly end up coaching in Buffalo. I've heard some whispers
I heard
about
that
that.
too.
That's very possible. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but it could. But Brian Dable could end up back in Buffalo. I'm not as big as him on being a head coach. I know he did a good job in his first year with the Giants. He won head coach of the year. I
Stop.
understand all that, but
Stop.
the shit kind of hit the fan after that.
Stop.
Sorry, bro. But I'd be more inclined to see like a Vance Joseph to go to the Cardinals. He was the DC there from 2019 to 2022.
Oh yeah, he
I would like to
was
see
too.
Vance Joseph maybe with the Arizona Cardinals. I think it'd be a better fit.
So okay, so that leaves probably the second most envious job. When you consider who the quarterback is. So who do you think ends up the coach of the Baltimore Ravens?
Sean McDermott.
There you
Sean
go.
McDermott.
That's what I
They,
thought.
He's been a seasoned head coach for a long time now. He gets in the playoffs every year. He's a really good guy. Players like him. He's a really good coach. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. Maybe if he goes to the Baltimore Ravens and has a new scene and a fresh new start, things could work out for him. But the Ravens, like the Bills, like the Steelers, need to bring in a name that's well known and a well coached guy, not some up and coming young hot shot who's 30 years old and thinks he's got the NFL figured out.
So no Nathan Shieldhouse.
Right, exactly.
All right. Well, yeah, that's the ride on the coaching carousel. And real quick, 30 seconds. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got about 5 names for the hot seat for next year. Just give me a quick whatever. So I got Aaron Glenn for the Jets, Zach Taylor for the Bengals, Nick Sirianni for the Eagles, Dan Quinn for the Commanders, Todd Bowles for the Bucks, your boy D'Amico Ryans for the Texans, and honorable mention, and I'm just doing this just to mess with you, is Kyle Shanahan for the 49ers.
Oh, gosh, get out of here.
So,
all right.
But yeah, that's my hot seat for next year. Aaron Glenn, Zach Taylor, Nick Sirianni, Dan Quinn, Todd Bowles, D'Amico Ryans.
I think Aaron Glenn might be safe over there. Zach Taylor definitely
really safe.
I think Aaron Glenn might be safe. I mean, they brought him in. They know what kind of roster they had. They know that they had quarterback problems. They have issues all over the place. But I think that he's going to be all right for next year. It's maybe year 3 where we start talking about that. But Zach Taylor, he's definitely in trouble. Todd Bowles, he's in trouble. D'Amico Ryans is fine. He's been doing an excellent job over there. They just got to take another step up and find maybe an offensive coordinator or get better offensive players in there. Look, if they have Nico Collins, maybe something's different in that game. But Kyle Shanahan is fine. And who else did you mention? Oh, Nick
Sirianni and Dan Quinn.
That's an interesting one. Nick Sirianni could be on the hot seat because he's had 2 out of the last 3 years where his team has completely fallen apart at the end of the season and got knocked out in the wild card round of the playoffs. So you know what? Yeah, I can see a new coach being there. Not next year, obviously, but if Nick Sirianni doesn't get his team past the wild card round of the playoffs, Philly will go crazy, go nuts, throw snowballs at him,
batteries,
throw metal chunks at him. He's got to be Magneto to get that shit off.
You are a comic guy. Yeah. Good reference. I like that. That's my that's our coaching carousel, the Power 32 coaching carousel. Thanks for taking a ride.
There we go. All right. The ride we have taken. All right. Let's continue the ride over here as we got a few more things to get to. And last week, I should have gone 3-1. You went 3-1. I wanted Denver. I didn't pick Denver like an idiot. I'm like, oh, you know what? Josh Allen, Buffalo. Let me go with them. But I should have taken them. Nevertheless, 3-1 to 2-2. You win that one. As far as our second to last Freaky Fantasy Football Draft of the year, I hit this one 74 to 46. So I'll be making the first pick when we get around to that. But we have to go to the conference championship round over here and figure out who's going to represent the AFC.
The Final Four.
NFC. In the Super Bowl, we first have the healthy New England Patriots going to the Denver Broncos at Mile High, where, again, they've been showing they have an advantage. But now it's Jarrett Stidham, man. I don't mean to belittle Jarrett Stidham, but he's not Bo Nix. And like I mentioned before, they're not a running team. They have a really good defense, but they're not a running team. They score points. They move the ball by throwing the ball downfield, whether it's Sutton or Franklin or Ingram or whoever these guys are, whoever you got on your team right now. And it's not even big names, and Bo Nix has been doing a really good job with that. Can Jarrett Stidham get the job done for the Denver Broncos and beat the visiting New England Patriots?
It's funny when you hear that question out loud. Can Jarrett Stidham? It's like, no, he can't. No,
he can't pull a Nick Foles. He can't do a Nick Foles.
No, I heard they've been texting back and forth, so that's kind of here. Side note, 10 seconds. How the hell did Cortland Sutton make the Pro Bowl? And that son of a didn't do anything for me in my fantasy league. I saw that and I was like, you know what? I'm going to call Prophet because that you talk about something that could piss you off. That guy did
Yeah.
nothing for me this year, and he makes the Pro Bowl as a first teamer Pro Bowl type thing. So whatever.
There's a lack of wide receivers in the AFC, man.
Oh my
Jeez,
God.
I don't know how that happened.
So yeah, New England favored by 4.5 in that game, over under 41.5. I'm not even gonna waste a lot of time on this. We talked about it a couple times during the show. Give me the Patriots, man, moving on to their Super Bowl, because the long suffering New England Patriot fans, it's been what, 7 years, 8 years, 90. They've been suffering for decades.
Yeah,
Before going to Super Bowl. Yeah, give me them. Give me the Mike Vrabel.
Can you fucking believe that we're talking about the New England
That
Patriots
is
with Drake May
insane.
and Mike Vrabel in his first year going to the Super Bowl? Holy shit.
Dude.
I cannot believe it. Now, you know what? I got to say it. If Bo Nix is in this game, I may be singing a different tune right now, but he's not, and I don't know what I'm going to get out of Jared Stidham, and I don't know what I'm going to get out of that running game, but I know that the New England Patriots, they get the job done, and Drake May throwing a Kayshon Boutte and Stephon Diggs and other guys that you never heard of in your life, and even with the running game not being as special as it had been, Drake May still getting the work done. Man, I'm New England. I'm with you on New England in this one. If Jared Stidham somehow has a good game, then yeah, watch out. I mean, it is possible, but no, my official pick will be the New England Patriots, even though I had Denver, but now that Bo Nix is out, I can't pick.
And everybody says, well, the defense of Denver, well, New England just played the best defense probably in the league in the Texans.
And won.
And the only reason they didn't score more is because Drake May kept putting the ball on the ground. That game could have been very, very ugly.
And New England played a good defensive game themselves. I know C.J. Stroud was not nearly his best, but New England still played a good defensive game, so I'll give them that. At the granddaddy of them all, some people say this may be the Super Bowl, actually, and that would be the L.A. Rams going to visit the Seattle Seahawks, playing for the third time this year. Seattle got them last time. The Rams got them in the first shot. Both close games. Seattle has been playing definitely now their best ball of the season, while the Rams really aren't. And I'm a little worried about Matt Stafford's finger. He was off on a lot of throws, man, in that Chicago Bears game. He missed some passes. He overthrew a few balls. I don't know. Hopefully he's all right and he's ready to go, because they're going to need all the Matt Stafford that they can possibly get to win this game, because Seattle's got a really good defense, Brian.
It was a setup. It was freezing. Did you see? It was freezing in Chicago. It's like he'll be fine.
It was cold.
He'll be fine. But I will say this: if they lose, I'm going to use his finger as an excuse. If they win, he's a gritty. He gritted it out, gutted it out. But if he loses, I'm going to use his finger as an excuse, and I'm going on the record to say that right now. But no, the Seahawks are favored 2.5. Over under is 47.5 in that one. I'd probably take the over in that. I think that it comes down to who you believe in more. Do you believe more in Matthew Stafford, or do you believe more in Sam Darnold? Do you believe more in Kenneth Walker, or do you believe more in Kyron Williams? Do you believe more in JSN or Puka? And that one, I'd probably give the edge slightly to JSN because he's more explosive.
Okay.
I believe more in Kyron Williams, even though Kenneth Walker III has been running roughshod, with all due respect. But comes down to the quarterbacks, man. And there's no way on God's green earth that I can pick in a championship game. I can pick Sam Darnold over Matthew Stafford. I can't do it. I just simply can't do it.
Say it louder. I am telling you, I'm with you. Yep, I'm picking the Rams for Stafford and that offense for the most part. I'm not convinced that Seattle is going to have a good game offensively. The Rams have a good defense, not great anymore, but they have a good enough defense, and they can zero in on that run, load up the box, dare Sam Darnold to go beat them. Play man coverage, but you want to have a guy over the top for Jackson Smith and Jigba. Right. It is really, really important that you make sure that guy does not beat you. But pressure Sam Darnold. Put pressure in his face. Go right up the middle. Make him get rid of the ball quicker than what he wants to and have turnovers. That's why I believe the Rams will win this game. Sean McVay, an excellent coach. Mike McDonald, a great coach himself. Maybe even Coach of the Year candidate possibly. But I do like the Rams in this game because they should be able to produce more offense. Seattle may have the better defense in this game, But again, Matt Stafford, he's your MVP this year. Ride it. Go with it. So I'm going to take the Rams with you. We both like the Rams and the New England Patriots to go to the Super Bowl this year. We'll save our predictions, obviously, for next week in case it goes wrong. But, wow. The Rams, yeah, we saw. And by the way, great call by you. You said the Rams from the NFC from the get-go. You said it right away. You were all over it. So we're not shocked by the Rams. But New England, yeah, we're a little surprised over here. We didn't think that was long.
Very, very surprised. But, man, shout out to Nick Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers for their first national title in school history. I mean, Kurt Signetti. I say Nick. That's the third time. You need more water. But they've only won 3 bowl games prior to these last couple seasons. And for them to they just kind of dog walked the field this year. And there's a lot of people criticizing them because they had older players, blah, blah, blah. Carson Beck hasn't taken a class in 2 years.
I know that's fucked up.
It's not it evened out. The best team's going to win at the end. People were still picking Miami. Miami had the home field advantage. They were playing to the Hard Rock Stadium down there. They had the advantage, and Indiana Hoosiers went in and physically dominated that game. And shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers, which, by the way, that's the 3rd year in a row that a Big Ten team, not that funky, cheating ass, overrated ass SEC, has won. I hate the SEC. That used to be a hashtag of mine on Twitter. But yeah, shout out to the Big Ten, 3rd year in a row that we've won a national championship. So shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers. Who's your daddy?
You hate the SEC, that's for sure.
All right. I hate them.
We are very limited on players we can pick in this last freaky fantasy football draft. So let's get it going.
Let's go.
I get first pick. I'm just going to hit up Drake May. I already took Stafford. I can't take him again. So I'll take May for my quarterback. Who do you got?
I'm going to take Stafford for my quarterback. And I'm going to
you took Stafford last week.
Did I take? Oh, shit. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did. So I'm
so you got either Darnold or
I'm going to take Jared Stidham. No, I'm going to take Sam Darnold. I'm going to take Sam Darnold.
All right. Darnold, and you get another pick.
I'm going to take, before you get him, I'm going to take Kenneth Walker.
Punk. Damn. You're right. I was going to take him. All right. This means I'm going to have to go with the guy who's going to have to be the MVP of this team if they want any shot at winning, and that'll be R.J. Harvey. I'll take Harvey, and I'll also go with Devontae Adams.
Ooh, that's not where I expected you to go. I'm gonna go. The only.
Oh, you know what? Wow, I missed who I wanted to pick. But go ahead.
No, go ahead. Switch it up. You let me get a switch last week.
I messed up.
Go ahead and take who you were going to take.
Devontae. It'll be a bad mess up. I'm going to stick with Devontae. You go ahead and take that guy.
Well, I'm definitely not going to take in Booty or Cortland Sutton. So the only other guy that makes sense, I guess I'm kind of contradicting myself because I'm taking the entire Seattle offense.
Yeah, you are.
So give me Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Making a lot of points as Seattle over here. All right.
I don't know what this. It's the last one. I'm gonna get my ass kicked, but anyway.
Well, we still got the tight end and defense. You got to pick.
It's tight end. Well, here I'm gonna go with New England's defense.
New England's defense. Okay, so we got the Pats defense. I get 2 picks now, tight end and defense. I'll go with.
Don't do it.
Colby Parkinson.
Damn you!
Gotcha. Parkinson and my defense. You took the Pats. Okay, I'll take the Rams. I'll take the Rams instead of Seattle. I'll take the Rams and see if they can come through for me. All right, you got to pick your tight end.
Oh, Jesus. I'm gonna go with. You know what?
Did you pick Hunter Henry yet?
I think I did, like when the playoffs first started. I'm gonna go with you know what? Is Tyler Higbee? Yeah, I'm gonna go. Let's see how you. Yeah, let's get tight ends on the same team. Be like Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. I'm gonna go with Tyler Higbee.
Love it. What a shame Baltimore's not there. What a shame about Bo Nix. I mean, damn. If you would have told me that Seattle, the Rams, New England, and Denver were your final four teams in the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have believed you. Nope. I wouldn't have
No.
believed you, especially with Seattle, New England. Shocker, in my opinion. I didn't. Look, we both said they were going to be good and possibly a playoff team, but to get all the way here in the AFC Championship is a whole nother story. But I just feel so freaking bad for Denver, their fans, for Bo Nix, that team. That is a crushing blow right there. I am going to be rooting so hard for Jared Stidham to step up and have the game of his life and come out and just rip it up, man. I would love to see it.
You know what? I think I'm gonna silently root for him too, because we've all been in situations before where you get so close to something and then something kind of pulls the rug out from underneath you. And Denver has had a really, really good season, the season that a lot of people didn't expect as far as win total. Some people may expect them to win the division, blah, blah, blah. But we've all been in that situation, man, where we've gotten so close to something and then have the rug pulled out from you. And I'm not personally, because I think Sean Payton, I won't say it, I don't want to slander him, but I'm not a fan of him personally. But he's a damn good football coach.
Oh, yeah.
And this was probably his best coaching job. And to have it end, which we presume it will, with a backup quarterback in the AFC Championship game, and there is a possibility, by the way, if you can see that, probably can't, that J.K. Dobbins may return this week.
That would help. That would help. I don't know how many carries you give him, but that would certainly help.
It just sucks, man. And I think there's a small part of me that will be rooting for Jared Stidham, to go ahead out there and do his thing. But realistically, we don't think that's going to happen.
No, unfortunately not. We both got New England and the Rams playing in the Super Bowl. We will reserve our Super Bowl winner for next week. And then we got our NFL Honors Awards that are coming out and all that good stuff. Freaky Fantasy Football Draft is over. This week I got May, Harvey, Devontae, Parkinson, and the Rams. You got Darnold, Walker, JSN, Higbee, and the Pats. We shall see who wins. And yeah, we only got 2 games to pick, so there you go. But Prime, well done this year. Clap it up. You won the picks challenge. Excellent job out of you. Excellent
fantasy,
job.
You kicked my ass in fantasy as expected, although I did finish second in our little fantasy league there. So I'm
did. That's why next year we're doing rotisserie. Not just best record, but most points wins. That's it. I'm taking the freaking money. I don't want to.
I hear you.
Oh man. All right. Thanks.
Been a great season up to this point, man. Like I said, I enjoy coming out here every Tuesday with the chat with you. You know what I'm saying? It's been a fun ride, but we still got a couple more weeks to go. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we do have our end of the year, coach of the year picks coming up pretty soon. So, and our Super Bowl predictions. So make sure you want to stick around and check us out for those in the coming weeks. So yeah, man, another great show in the books.
Thank you, sir. Always freaking awesome. Love it. You make an hour and 20 minutes go by in about 20 seconds, man. I appreciate it. Always good fun. And shout out to Real Savage, man. Thank you for chiming in, bro. We appreciate it. All right, everybody. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.